Okay, good afternoon to all. Welcome in Brussels to the first meeting of Islands Economy Working Group. My name is Giovanni Ruggeri. I am happy and I thank you to be here to accept our invitation. And as this afternoon we will work together, and we first of all listen members and people involved in islands subject, and this is for us an occasion of, after 10 years working on islands, to extend our job, our research, our interest, and share it with you, with all of you, and working together for these fragile territories and for territories that are considered small and with few people, with few inhabitants. I can tell you that islands, we have more than 50,000 European islands. One with habitants are 100 to 1,250 islands with habitants, and we represent more than 25 millions of inhabitants in islands, in European islands. So we don't consider it as a small territories, but altogether we can do difference. And so now I just would like to give the floor to Henri Malos, EECSC member of European Union, and that, he first believed in an island's development. He is from Corse, and he would like to give us what he did in the past at the European level on islands, and we thank you for this effort. And he will speak about inclusive islands opinion from European Commission. Please, the floor. Yes.
Yes, hello. So good morning, everybody. I'm here, in fact, to welcome you, not in the European Commission, but in the European Economic and Social Committee, which is the body where we are here. Is one of our buildings. The main building is the Jacques Delors building. As you may know, the European Economic and Social Committee is the fifth European institution, which is composed by members from the civil society, employers, Chamber of Commerce, trade unions, and other civil society organizations. I've been member for this committee for quite a long time, like 22 years, and I had the honor, in fact, to chair, to be the president of this committee between 2013 and 2015. And myself, I was designated and proposed by the French Chamber of Commerce and Industry to represent them in this European institution. So you are here in the European Economic Social Committee, and of course we cooperate with the Commission, Parliament and others, but we are different, and we have our own views, our own position. We contribute to the Commission, of course, but we are colleagues, but we are different, and I'm not an official, as you understand. I am a member, proposed, and even when I was president, as a representative of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here, and I will say I have three reasons to welcome you here. The first I just mentioned is the fact that you are in our building. So the tradition when you ask for a meeting room in our building is that you have to suffer to listen first welcome speech from our institution, but that's the rule. I mean, Commission or somewhere it's the same thing. But there is two other reasons, and I will mention. You just mentioned one other reason is the fact that I'm now, since I'm not president anymore, I've just come and go, and now I live at home. I'm living at home, and my home is Bastia, Corsica. So I am a man from the island. And so much from the island, but last week I was by our friends from the Azores in Ponte Delgado, and we had a very interesting conference. I was very, very happy to be invited. So I'm just traveling from island to island and from time to time passing by Brussels to enjoy the weather. It's good sometimes to get a little refresh from our very dry weather in the Mediterranean. But I will mention also the third reason why I'm delighted to be here is that, in fact, as a member also of the Chamber of Commerce movement, I would say that I had unfortunately two very close friends, personal friends, very close to my heart and to the heart of some of us. And one of them was Dr. Mario Frontoni, who has been one of the co-founder, the initiator of OTIE, and we had so many meetings. We started together in Brussels 34 years ago. He was the representative of Union Camere, the Association of Italian Chamber, and I was the representative here of the French Chamber. And I know that he's very close to OTIE and to Giovanni, and because he was very start together. And I remember a meeting we had in Palermo some years ago, and he died 4 years ago, Mario Frontoni. But I will, if you allow me, associate to this tribute to my friend and the friend of Georges and friend of some of us, Olivier Lemaire, who was my alternate in the committee, who was replaced me as director of the French Chamber of Commerce office, and who was very active in Insulaire, was one of the souls with Georgios, with the two souls, you can say, of Insulaire. And fortunately, so our friend Olivier Lemaire died this year in the summer, in August. And so I think it's important, starting with this meeting, to pay tribute to them. And as I have my duty here to start the chair of this meeting as a representative of the EC, I will ask if you allow to have 1 minute silence in memory of Mario and Olivier, and of course some other
people
persons.
for violence. We stand up and just to
please.
remember. Okay, yes, I'm with you. Clap to them.
Yeah.
To the effort of violence.
I would just express some views, very brief, because I know you have a very interesting conference, and I will stay because I'm interested as Corsican to listen to all the experts and reports that you will have. Just to make some very brief comments. You know, of course, that the European Union is today in a lot of troubles and reflections. In my view, the main challenge for the European Union in the next years is to get again the support of the European population. We can see in a lot of countries, even if this year, 2017, was not so negative, including in my country, in France, but we see that globally there is still a lot of questions, skepticism, criticism, and you can see when we have elections, or let's look at the Brexit, but the support of the population to the European Union machinery, technocracy, is not very high. And it has decreased in the last 20, 30 years. And I really think that the islands people, the people from the islands, should be also mobilized, of course, to express their view, their wish concerning the European Union, but also to be more active, be more active in the conception of Europe. It depends what we want. Do we want, as Jean Monnet said, do we want just a coalition of states, of national government, or do you want to unify the people? And if the European Union has the project to unify the people, so we have to work with the people where they are. And they are, as you mentioned, in a lot of islands. It's millions of people. And these people have been considered for the last 30 years by all the Brussels machinery, sometimes not as second-class citizens, but as something, okay, yes, there is the question of the islands, like there is a question of ultra-periphery region, there is a question of the south. No, it's these people are as important and as European as the people here who live in Brussels and who work in the European institution. And we have in the next years very important fight to do together. I think together European civil society organization, the European Economic Social Committee of the European Parliament, all the CRPM, because specifically the Committee of the Islands, chaired by my friend and compatriot Gilles Simon. We have to fight together to see the island people, not just the island structure, the island people, the island economy, recognize and take in consideration. We have to take in consideration their specificities. We cannot apply the same regulation from the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean Sea or to Atlantic Oceans, for a lot of reasons. We need more flexibility in the European Union regulation. That just means public procurements, where the case of Ireland is different. You cannot make the same tenders when you are in a small island in the middle of the big ocean or in the middle of Mediterranean as if you are in Brussels. State aid. I can mention, you know this topic. We want to have also a more, I would say, to give same possibility, same opportunity for people from the island to participate in the European program. I just mentioned R&D, Erasmus program, Erasmus Plus, all these programs where the fact to be insular, to be far from, makes extra cost, and this has to be taken into account. And we could mention a lot of other programs. I'm not here, but to develop all that. So we have as horizon 2020, but at concrete battlefield now, when the discussion about 2020 has already started. We all know that concerning the funding capacity of the European Union after 2020 will be difficult because of Brexit, because of new priorities like fight against terrorism, migration, and so on. But you have the one article of the treaty, I think it says 174, if I'm correct. You have an article of the treaty which asks for special attention. And you have what is the most important. You have this element, this structure, this organization of cooperation. And I'm very proud to be here in one of them, very active, and I congratulate you, because I remember the start of OTIE with my friend Mario and Olivier and George and some here. We just started. It was just an idea. It was a concept, and now it's a reality. But I would just, of course, mention the CRPM, which is I don't know the acronym in English, but I say that in French, which is now become a major political actor. I just mentioned Insulaire, my heart from the Chamber of Commerce. But this organization have to be stronger, have to work stronger together, because that will be my final word. Because I want to listen to the very interesting report, but I think that in the future, for the next 50 years, it's not the states who will build the future of Europe. It's not the states. It's the people, and the local authorities, the civil society organization, the one who don't have some problem of sovereignty, who don't have their ego to come here in Brussels, to blame Brussels when they come back home and to sign everything when they are here. We have real actors, because the construction of Europe, of the European Union, is made from concrete steps made by local actors and such, say, European-wide organizations like yours, CRPM and Insular. These should be, this one, the key actors for the future of the European Union. You know that the French President Emmanuel Macron launched in 2018, so next year, Citizens' Convention in all the European countries to restart, to reformulate the priority of Europe. And I would just like, because I have some contact with his cabinet on that, I would just push the idea that people from the island, that region from the island, civil society organizations participate and cooperate together to express the views that the position, the future of Europe will not made by the people from Brussels, Paris, Berlin, Roma, Athens, and others, but will be made by all the Europeans. Because this is the only one, if we want the success of the European Union, we have to involve every citizen where he lives. That means in the islands, which are totally part of Europe. It's not ultra-peripheric or out of the center, it's the center of Europe. So thank you, and I wish you good success for your meeting and for your work, and I will, as I say, stay and listen very carefully. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, President Maros. And now I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Donatella Soria, the Directorate General for Internal Market Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs from DG Growth, European Commission. And tomorrow we have, I remember you, this appointment of European Tourist Day organized by DG Growth here in Brussels. That could be very interesting for our group. Please.
Thank you, Professor Ruggeri, and thank you for inviting the European Commission to give these few introductory remarks. We value very much the work of the Observatory on Tourism in the European Islands, and that's the reason why we invited the Observatory to give a presentation at the European Tourist Day, which will take place tomorrow. It's a meeting of main stakeholders from the tourism world in the EU. Particularly industry and public authorities. Unfortunately, I will have to go right after these words because we also have today, back to back to this meeting, an important ministerial meeting. We have this twice a year. We meet, the Commission meets with representatives of the ministries of the different member states where we exchange best practices and information about actions that are being carried on at European level and at local level. Let me say that, well, we intervene in tourism, in the tourism area, with actions which are complementary to the actions of the member states. This is it has been established by the Treaty of Lisbon, so these are our competencies in tourism. And particularly, I would like to focus on two areas which are relevant for the island economy. One is coastal and maritime tourism, and the other one is promotion of tourism through heritage and innovative products. So I would like to tell you what we do in these two areas. First of all, coastal and maritime tourism. Well, I don't want to say too much about figures because you all know very well. Coasts are the preferred destination of more than half of European holidaymakers. Europe is the leading destination for cruising, boating, and water sports. And the Mediterranean alone attracts 70% of the world charter activity. Coastal and maritime tourism involves employment for 3.2 million persons in the EU. So this is a very important area, and the European Commission has adopted a strategy in 2014. I know many of you because of that, because we have had several actions carried out together. Concrete actions that have been taken in this area have addressed business investments, high seasonality, product diversification and innovation, connectivity, accessibility, improved infrastructure, skills development, and maritime environment protection. I will just give you one example of the actions, concrete actions that have been carried out. One, it's about cruise. Cruise, very impressive growth over the recent years has offered important opportunities, but this growth poses challenges. And we propose to promote cruise responsible and inclusive development through an enhanced dialogue between industry, ports, and coastal tourism stakeholders. And this dialogue has taken place at European level in 2015 here in Brussels in March. The sector was encouraged to find joint solutions to issues such as berthing congestion, problems at ports, disposal of cruise generation waste in ports, saturation of destinations, environmental challenges, innovation quests, and increasing the benefits of cruise visits to coastal communities. This dialogue, which, as I said, started in 2015, now is continuing at regional level, sea basin level. We had a dialogue for the Mediterranean in Sardinia in 2015, in Olbia, and the dialogue for the Baltic Sea in last year. And in the next year, we will have a dialogue for the Atlantic and the North Sea and Arctic in Lisbon in May. Just briefly, two other actions that we have done within this strategy. We have published a guide on EU funding for the tourist sector, and there is an additional, which I don't have here, an addendum, which is specifically for coastal and maritime tourism. This is online in all the languages of the EU. And also we have issued this year a staff working document on nautical tourism, which addresses several issues like qualification of professional yacht skippers, safety equipment, waste prevention, and marinas development. Then, second point that I want to address is cultural heritage and as an opportunity also for islands. Tourism in the islands needs an integrated and sustainable and innovative approach, building on the strengths and unique elements and patrimonies of the seas, but also creating linkages to more unknown inland sites, particularly archaeological sites, and promoting innovative products and services. The Commission is supporting these actions to preserve and value our heritage. In particular, we are now having some cooperation initiatives both with UNESCO and with the Council of Europe to develop some transnational cultural routes which are linked to like UNESCO sites or Council of Europe trails. Through our COSME program, we promote transnational cultural products. They may bring the best of the culture and innovative and attractive offer, and some of these projects have also touched upon island activities. We are aware that our heritage lies also under our oceans, where there are treasures and memories from the past, and therefore we are looking into underwater cultural heritage. And through our European Maritime and Fisheries Funds, we are supporting 3 projects for the conception and development of thematic underwater cultural routes in European sea basins. For example, one of these projects is the underwater cultural route in classical antiquity, which is connecting shipwrecks and sarcophagi in Greece and in Italy. These routes are expected also to be promoted within the framework of cooperation with museums, oceanographic and maritime museums. In addition, the European Maritime and Fisheries Funds is also supporting the promotion of transnational nautical routes, which will target sailing and water sports market combined with a diversified tourism offer. Just a few words also on skills, because I've seen that you are also dealing with this point. We have 2 important projects starting now on skills, to develop a platform of key tourist stakeholders and education providers to discuss and to enhance cooperation about skills in tourism. Also, there is another ongoing project which will focus on the image, improving the image of tourism careers. In conclusion, tourism offers Europe and its islands significant opportunities. We are dedicated to support coastal and islands tourism through specific initiatives. I'm sorry I mentioned a lot of these initiatives, but I'm happy to reply maybe by email or by other means, because I unfortunately have to leave you. If you have any specific questions on this presentation. Thank you very much, and thank you again to Professor Ruggeri.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your contribution. I would like to, your contribution, and also to be here, and also to give to us the possibility to record a brief video that tomorrow will be, you will show to the during the European Tourist Day. That for us it's very important just to offer a vision of the islands tourism, what islands tourism is or could be in the future. Well, and now I ask Giacomo, yes, Brancato to put the slides. Okay, we are still online because a lot of people are trying to follow us on Facebook, and from other organizations, and because they are very interesting to work together and to share. I think the very important things that we did is just to start to do research on European islands and on tourism on islands. Because when we start the project of the observatory in 2007, we just, from Insular, that was the first organization on islands, European islands, owned and founded by Chamber of Commerce, we just found a gap of knowledge, of know-how, because in islands we don't know how to do things. We have a lot of ideas, and when I start travel from islands to another islands, we found with the group a lot of things or problems that were the same, So as a professor of tourism economics, I said, why we cannot start altogether to find a way that could be for islands. It's an island's receipt for local development, and just not to apply the other economic development models. So islands are different from the mainland. This is the option. And what we did in these 10 years of activities, just trying to stay all together, consider the islands as a region. And as Malos told us, as Henri Malos told us, the European Union in the future will be more connected with regions, with big regions. And the insular region will be one of these. But if we don't follow research and results of research, then it will be difficult just to find a way, politics in terms of islands. So the idea is just to stay together. So we start in 10 years to census European islands. How many islands we have in European Union? How many inhabitants? And and we found a lot of very interesting numbers. We have now a database with great numbers that altogether we can analyze, we can use just to demonstrate how and in which way we need to develop islands. We start to working with a group, with CRPM, with Insular, with other groups, and on insularity condition, just to demonstrate that a business, to start a business in an island is different in terms of the same business in the mainland. And the researcher and the professor from Sardinia demonstrate that the costs are 30% more for a business instead of the same business activity in the mainland. So this advantage in terms of connections, in terms, we know this as people from islands, in terms of politics, that sometimes also for tourism we follow what our country decides to do on tourism. The same for islands, the same for mainland, the same politics. And this is not correct, this is not a real condition. So insularity condition is now a condition accepted from the Parliament, as you know, and accepted in the treaty. So now it's we have this advantage, just to be islands and just to work as with this insularity condition. The fiscal condition in islands, thanks to insular work, we try to find to follow the idea to have a VIT different for islands. And this was a meeting attended last year. George and Insular did organize this with their representative, and this could be an effective way to follow not to have an advantage, but just to offer to islands the same condition of the same business in the mainland. So we don't want more, but the same conditions to be competitive. So the same starting point we would like to have. The VIT could be, please back, yes, nautical tourism. So we ask which are the best kind of tourism that we can follow as island. Nautical, for example, events, islands events. This is very incredible contribution to local economies. And startup on islands projects. So islands are laboratories. So we can experiment. UNESCO start in the Sicilian Islands which just to put the islands in the World Heritage List. The OTIE Islands are the first put in the list as islands, and then we start to just islands could host people that would like to experiment. Like the example of Green Island in the Baltic Sea is a totally green island. So we have a lot of examples, but to be different from the mainland or from the other part of tourism, we don't have to follow the same, but we would like to follow islands tourism that is totally different. Another kind of tourism is relational tourism. We discovered this new kind of approach, tourism based on people instead of industry. So people of islands are one of the attraction of people involved in tourism. So a tourism based on human relationship and not based on industry approach. So, and tourism, we worked in the Tourism Manifesto for growth and jobs for islands. This is a very important task we have to follow as a group. And also a definition of UNESCO management. So we worked on UNESCO management plan for islands. And we started in Sicily, we started in small islands, and we would like to move. Sardinia has one, other islands they recognize as they are in the UNESCO World Heritage List. So how you manage UNESCO label, UNESCO site in an island is totally different. And we try to put this experience in books and in papers. And also the training for islands community. People from islands need training in this way. So we organize the summer school in Gozo, in Maltese Islands, for people, young people for coming from European islands. Because we have to teach to transform this theory and the project results in terms of activities. That's why Chamber of Commerce are part of the observatory. So just compare, just For example, there are islands where tourism, that there is no seasonality in tourism, for example. There are islands that are the best in class in terms of flows. For example, Canaria, they don't have, they don't have seasonality in Canary Islands. How can they do it? They can teach us other islands how they did. And TIDES, for example, is our research group, very important in the Canaria, that involved with us in a project for seasonality, unseasonality in islands. Or Balearic Islands are as well Balearic Islands in terms of flows. There are a lot of flows in terms of tourism. They are the best in class. And now they are trying to develop with us, with this group, a project to reduce tourism. So in the 5 years, the representative that was president of Insulaire asking us how to reduce our contained tourism. They have too much tourism. The local people, they don't want any more money. They would like to reduce tourism and economy. So this is another big effort we have to, for research. So compare small, big archipelagos and others. We can learn from the others. This is the ideas. We have 14 networks. We are together because the idea is work together. 7 partners, actually partners with projects. 80 research papers on islands issues to share, and we hope to do more than 80 to 100 with you. 14 conferences on islands subjects, 12 monitoring activities, and 2 documents for European Union and 10 European projects. 2 of us, we will present 2 projects, and we would like to ask to this group to join and to work together for the next 3 years. Well, this is what we did with you, with the others, with other organizations. But this is for us only a starting point. It's not at the end. It's just to say in 10 years we did this, but in the next 10 years we should do double, and we should like to, to reach and to contribute to develop European islands and European from economic point of view and social and point of view. Thanks to you, I hope that this presentation could offer you a vision. We are open to offer you documents, information, working together from today, also with you as expert or as an organization. I would like to give the floor to Professor Razak, that he was at the beginning with us with this project, and I would like to give you the floor to present a future meeting.
Thank you, Professor Ruggeri, for inviting me for the Island Economy Working Group. We have discussed this over the summer, myself and Professor Ruggeri in Gozo, when we were doing the summer school, and we thought, how are we going to take this forward as a research? There's a number of research projects that have been done, a number of articles about how can we bring them together. So one of the ideas is to bring an international conference each year where people can come together and able to share the different aspects of the research. Looking at that, we thought first maybe starting point was to call it a 10th OTIE International Conference, which should be held in Palermo in end of August. We're still debating the date, but I think we agreed now 30th of August, 2018. And some of the major theme areas that we want to cover, or the people we want to participate, because we are like a family. All the islands are like a family working together, similar problems in terms of tourism, cultural heritage, coastal maritime tourism, which I think my colleague is gone now. But we thought able to look at the particular themes which able to help. One of the ones we highlighted was looking at the strategic development plan for tourism for islands. because different islands got different planning prospects in terms of tourism. Some people don't like mass tourism, but at the end of the day, mass tourism does bring economic development for those areas. And besides that, one of the important things we want to bring forward is sustainable model through this research. By creating a critical sustainable model for tourism in the European, I wouldn't call it European. When we were discussing those, I thought Libya's islands. If we call it islands, then we might be able to attract people from around the world, or people from different parts of the world able to participate in this group of researchers. So this is one of our ideas, and also taking that point, if you look at right at the bottom, I particularly wanted to look at is European Union's policy for tourism. How can we work with the European Union and able to develop the policies that we might be able to help us in the next 10 years? Particularly, I'm from the UK, and we're leaving Europe. Brexit might play a big part. UK is an island. So again, that could be the major factor. So again, we need to look at that aspect, how we're going to be able to attract our tourism to UK. And one of the major debates is the Republic of Ireland. So again, these are some issues that we're going to overcome in next 10 years. So another issue that I think we need to bear in mind, what we call a community response. How does community think about, or the local people, about tourism? So these are some of the issues that we can able to discuss if we have annual conference held at different islands. So if we make a starting point from Palermo from 2018, then we hold the conference every year. So that was the whole idea. So we thought what we can do as part of the research role or islands development is, particularly from the European Union point of view, different islands is a different element in terms of they are diverse, they are different, but we can able to learn from each other. The different cultures, different values, different beliefs, we can able to learn from each other what the requirements are. And more important, different islands are different sizes. There is some of them are vulnerable because they rely mainly on the mainland countries to support them. So there's a number of things we can look at, particularly the level of growth they can create through tourism. So we thought by having a research group or able to do the research through an international conference, through creating journal articles, maybe also doing the edited books, and able to share that experience will able to help all the people working on island projects. As you can see on the next slide, is a huge area. I mean, I think Professor Ruggieri mentioned earlier, there's 1,000 of islands. And if we work as a unit, as a family, or together, we can able to create a strong model that other people around the world are able to follow us. And that should be the idea, is sustainable model the islands can able to follow. And I think there's a lot of money being spent, a lot of money being generated through European Union, but there's no clear model in terms of research as they come across the people can able to follow in terms of tourism research or culture or heritage. And these are the areas we need to develop. If you look particularly in the Mediterranean, when we were in Gozo, one of the areas we're looking at, and we had a long discussion, and we thought, start with the word economy, because economy plays a major part. And if we can able to tell people the island's economy is the future, and particularly Malta relies on tourism. Greece was relying on tourism. If you take part of the Italian islands, purely rely on tourism. So if we're able to develop a model, able to work together and able to learn from each other, I think that will be the good model to start. And that's the main purpose of creating an international conference in September, end of August in Palermo. I'm going to just quickly tell you the future ideas that I came across and discussed with Professor Ruggieri. These are some things we want to explore over the next 3 years, particularly exploring the applying development of innovation in islands economy. Innovation is an important role that we need to discuss. Also looking at expanding the boundaries, and I again have to say, coming from UK now, we're coming out of Europe, how do we expanding the boundaries with us? That will be the major part. And also we need to look at economic assessment of these islands. And from there, if we can able to develop particular tools or models the islands can able to share to able to enhance the economy. And also the other area that we can able to look at is analyzing the role of the public sector in islands. Because public sector sometimes doesn't really play a major part able to looking at what the community wants, or what the tourist wants, and how we able to develop that economy. And finally, final point out, particularly we need to look at is to critically evaluate the growth aspects of the islands. How are we going to create a growth in these islands? Some of the islands are really suffering from migration element. Some of them are particularly don't have agricultures or fishery elements. So again, how can we able to grow that with those islands in terms of economical growth? And I think we can't see it about the last point I mentioned, it's analyzing capacity of future employment. How can we create employment in these islands? And rather than people leaving islands and going to the mainland Europe, how can we able to keep those young people in those islands and able to create employment for them? And I thought by doing the international conference each year, bringing people from different parts of the Europe together, or different part of the world, we might be able to share some good practices that can be implemented to the future of the island economy. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Professor Razak, to take care about the future scientific conference on islands and expecting the contribution from all of you, and will be an invitation in springtime in Sicily just to work on it and to invite all the researchers on this subject to present papers and contribution. Yes, now a few, these slides could show you the research topics of OTIE. This is the proposal in 2018. That, of course, sustainable tourism is the main idea, but for example, we are trying to working with a kind of sustainable tourism for islands. This is just to know how for islands sustainable tourism, how can impact, how can it works, in which way. A tourism impact. So just to reduce or to increase, we have islands that could develop tourism and islands that should stop. That's it, or just modify the way to do tourism. And nautical tourism as well in the Mediterranean islands, and nautical and relational. We have a lot of information about we can move, boats from an island to the others, and we can move hotels. They are floating hotels, boats. So how is possible, to work with this system? Something about local development. This is a UNESCO task, and also us. It's very interesting. The accessibility. We already work in a COSME project on accessibility, because we can host this different kind of people in the islands, and we can do this. Instead of big city. We would like to compare the next year to share a lot of information and performance between islands, so we know the model. Security, tourism and security, we have this kind of project, how to measure. Generally, the islands are generally, the security is not a problem of islands, generally, This is not connected with islands. Sometimes in some place we need to know how islands could, or how we can demonstrate that we are the security. It's a good task. Impact of events, the social network analysis in islands. So how the people could cooperate. This is a scientific model to work with. the tourism impact as well, analysis, how the local taxes or tourism tax, how could contribute to help islands, and the transport system. You know why we just ask you to be in Brussels instead of in Sicily or in another islands? Because connection between islands are very bad. Generally, to fly to an island, from an island to another, we request to get 2 or 3 flights, you know, almost 2 or 3 sometimes. But we have all islands, we have direct connection, quite direct connection with Brussels. That's why we decide that is the easy way to meet islands is in Brussels, not in another islands. So, and also just to ask for UNESCO Commission, just to improve the UNESCO sites for European islands. Because in terms of natural and cultural subjects. So these are main, the framework of our research for 2018. And of course, we can work also with other subjects, you know. People from biologists would like to work with us, for example. People from medicine and genetics, they are very interesting on topics on islands, so some illness with the islands. Sociologists and psychologists, maybe if you stay in an island, the approach of change of people, the people could change better. And also for senior tourism, I would like to call senior tourism, but for this kind of tourism anyway, just to host, to develop a way to host a long stay tourists. So not short break, short stay, but just stay in an island for 1 month, 2 months, if you are retired. And, or if you are a researcher and you need time, you need rest, you need, you know, to be far from the Wi-Fi connection. So we can have a lot of kind of things. What is the goal? The goal is to help economic, from economic point of view and social point of view, people from islands. This is the feeling. Just to give to the young people of islands the possibility to start up, to do a startup with a small company, with a micro enterprises. Because in islands, we show that we don't have SME enterprises. We have micro enterprises. The 90% of islands, we have micro enterprises, less than 9 employees for business. So we cannot develop big destinations. So how we can connect these micro enterprises, how we can help with the Chamber of Commerce these people, the young people, to develop the business on the islands, and how can we, this is the end, attract people that are, you know, for the weather condition, for other condition, just to attract people to move in an island. Okay, this is possible, of course. We have a lot of examples in terms of tax, in terms of how we can improve this movement, just this, you know, demographic movement. But we need the know-how, how to do for all the islands, and just share these informations that could help an island to develop. Well, so this is the idea. This is the framework. It's an open framework now. I mean, we can still ask you for contribution or ideas of projects, so we can develop other topics with you. You can manage one topic. You could be the best in one topic, one island, and in another island could, you know, follow another topic. Okay, so we can work together. If we can share this kind of share these ideas, then I can call you to work in Sicily for one topic, and maybe you can call your colleague to work in that topic in the other islands. In this way, we can share experience. Well, I know that first, before I give the floor to Giacomo Brancato for European project for islands, for you, how we can work together. You know, European projects give us money, but to develop, you know, to increase. And generally, we spend for travel, we spend this money for jobs, you know, to pay people involved in the project, to organize conferences. If we put together all our projects with the topic of islands, maybe, and we can increase the results, of project results. No, not the ones that we have in the project, we have to follow, you know, as European Union, but we can multiply effects on our project to the other projects. Okay, this is the idea. Just not is my project, is OTIE project, but is Islands project. So work together on it, share experience. Before, sorry, to give the floor to Giacomo Brancato, I would like to that the President, that you have a flight in 1 hour, just to say you a goodbye from the President of the Chamber of Commerce of Cagliari, another region, a big region, big island region, just to say goodbye, hello to us, just before you leave.
Oggi sono venuto per ascoltare.
Okay. Yes, he's also President of the Confindustria and the President, yes.
Thanks, President Giovanni Ruggeri. But today I is only for understanding and good job together.
Thanks a lot. I know how is difficult connection with islands. So the flights, you have a flight at 6 o'clock, 6:30. So thanks to be here to fly, from Sardinia to Brussels. Just it's important for us this moment. Just you tell us I'm here. I'm ready to work with you, with all of you. Yes, please, Giacomo Brancato from OTIE. He's involved in the European project, and she could help us with your expert too, just to finalize all the idea of the program we will have in the future, just to put all the program to follow the direction of islands development. Please,
Thank
you
you
have the
very
floor.
much.
The microphone.
Microphone,
You have
yes,
already.
it's,
Okay.
ready.
Can she?
Okay, thank you very much. As already Mrs. Soria said, there are many opportunities for funding, but which opportunities and projects for future island growth? I will show the OTIE project. Because OTIE participate in EU calls, but also in national and regional ones, both as leader and partner, specifically as partner in EU calls and as lead also in national and regional ones. OTIE supports also other organizations in drawing up projects and establishing partnerships, thanks to its network and contacts with several organizations involved in European tourism. Furthermore, OTIE applies innovative management methodologies in its projects and takes also into account issues linked to sustainability and in particular linked with island tourism. So OTIE for next year, 2018, has already in progress 2 projects. One of them is Alter Eco, is an Interreg in Mediterranean project, and Social Impact, that is an H2020 project. Also have in evaluation 3 projects, NetSea, SBEM and Malta, respectively in IASME program and Italia Malta program and any CBC Med program. But for next year, OTIE intends to apply also in Horizon 2020 program. In particular, has identified two pillars: excellence science and societal challenge. Excellent science to support the researcher through the European Research Council, and in the societal challenge pillar is particularly interested in aquatic living resources and marine research, smart, green and integrated transport, Europe in a changing world, and also in inclusive, innovative and reflective societies. But Horizon 2020 is not the only program, because OTIE intends to apply also in Erasmus+, in ECBC Med, IASME, Italia Tunisia, Italia Malta, Interreg Mediterranean, Interreg Europe, and also in bilateral cooperation with extra EU countries, and if possible also in European and COSME and fisheries and maritime program. There are several themes that can be developed in this project. Like sustainable tourism, in particular tourism impact and climate change and its economic impact, the nautical tourism focused in islands, and nautical and relational tourism and local development. Also impact of events in islands, because it's a very important topic, and Professor Ruggeri said, the tourism accessibility, tourism indicators, supply, demand, EU-made island, and tourism and security. But there are also several themes connecting with economic impact of tourist tax, social network among enterprises, local development and transport system, and last but not least, the link between tourism, culture, nature, and UNESCO sites. Other themes that can be approached are concerning also with the training activities that OTIE develop during the year. Statistical detection techniques for cultural events in local area, courses for service industry, statistical detection about the quality of tourism in Ireland, summer school in cooperation with UNESCO and with other organizations, and network about tourism incoming. Thank you for your attention.
And I would like to give you the floor to Eleftherios Stavropoulos. I don't see him. Yes. Okay, there, thank you, sorry. Directorate General for Regional and Urban Policy Competence Center and Inclusive Growth, it's very important, Urban and Territorial Development from European Commission.
Thank you, Mr. President, and many thanks from DG Regio for the invitation today. It's always very important for us to hear on the initiatives and the expectations of the citizens, and especially the island stakeholders. I'm happy to say that I'm also an islander. Before coming to work for the Commission, I used to work for a managing authority in an insular region in the South Aegean. So I'm very much aware about the challenges, but also the opportunities that the islands can offer. As we see from this map, there are differences between the islands, not only in terms of size, but also, as we know, and there are plenty of data on that, on their GDP, on their demography, on let's say economic activities. So I will have to echo also what you, Mr. President, said earlier on, that no size fits all, and of course it's also very different, the situation on the islands. You have Atlan, for example, with 149 GDP, and the South Aegean with 110, which is quite different from the GDP of other islands, which are even below the average of the EU. In DG Regio, we are responsible for cohesion policy, which, as you know all, is a very important policy, not only because of its budgetary implications, but also because we see ourselves as an investment policy that aims to the three fundamental goals of the treaty, which are the economic, the social, and territorial cohesion for all regions, for all citizens, trying to bring convergence and opportunities for everyone, irrespective of where they live. And although we know about the problems and the challenges, we try to think positively, and our, let's say, starting point is always not to develop compensation schemes for handicaps, but rather to provide opportunities for investment. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes.
So, I would like to remind you briefly, because the time is running, some of the opportunities that one can find in cohesion policy and also in other policies of the EU to showcase that there is always in our minds the specificity of the islands as well, and that the regulation that we have for 2014-2020 does allow for a certain differentiation and some special, let's say, attention to the islands is given. Next slide, please. So, first of all, starting from the allocation of the funds for the 2014-2020, it was not only, as it's considered by many, that it was our only driver was the GDP. There were also other indicators that we took under consideration in the allocations of the money, such as population, employment, and unemployment rates. And this is something that one can find in the regulation. Next slide, please. There was extra funding for islands during the MFF negotiations in order to take under consideration the remoteness in certain parts of the Union. I have to mention here the example of Malta and Cyprus that received quite extra money during the last phase of the negotiations. Then there is the example of taking account the territorial challenges and the demographic challenges of every region. So when we started negotiating the programs, the operational programs, either national sectoral programs or regional programs, with the national and regional authorities, we specifically asked them, and we negotiated hard on that, to address the challenges, the territorial challenges that they have. So when we were discussing, for example, with the regions of Croatia, that they have islands, we have been explicitly asking them to show us what they will be doing for the islands of this country, and also the same we did with Greece, and so on and so forth. And these specificities have been identified and are part of the agreement that we have with the member states, the partnerships agreements, and also in the operational programs. And we follow up on this, and there will be, within 2018, a study from us to show what was the follow-up of these commitments in terms of concrete actions and goals to address these specificities. Next, please. The other thing that we have is the, of course, derogation to the thematic concentration. As you know, with the policy, we have to deliver on the EU 2020 goals, and we have to follow certain thematic concentration. This is more loose, and there is, of course, more flexibility when it comes to islands. So, according to the articles that you see, there could be agreement with certain regions and member states to have, let's say, a derogation of thematic concentration, which, as you remember, was really high for three targets, for three thematic objectives, especially the entrepreneurship, the innovation, and the research. All programs have to devote there more or less 80% of the funding. This does not apply on the case of the islands. The other flexibility that one can use is, of course, co-financing rates can be adjusted. So even in one, let's say, national program, think of example of the national program for transport of Italy. One priority axis could be dedicated on solving the problem of islands, and there we could even have a co-financing rate that could be up to 80, 90, even 100%. What we have to observe is the overall co-financing rate for the whole program. But in individual axes, we could have even more to address these specificities. Next, please. And then in the cross-border programs, of course, all cross-border programs had to do the same. They had to ensure that areas with, let's say, special specificities, geographical specificities like the islands, the mountains, they had to be under consideration when drafting these programs. And the EGTC, which is this special instrument that we have in the area of cross-border transnational cooperation, could help islands of various member states to create a joint legal entity to avoid administrative burden and to be more able to get access to funding. Next. So, another important instrument is the integrated territorial investment and the community-led local development. These were opportunities for the islands where they could put together funds from different EU funds, from the Agricultural Fund, from the Employment Fund, etc., from the European Social Fund, in order to address local specificities. And we have cases even in Germany, which is not the usual suspect, let's say, member state that has island concerns, but they have used these instruments for their islands in the North Sea. So when there is political, let's say, will, with knowledge about the various instruments, many things can happen. Next, please. And outside the ERDF and the Cohesion Fund, because this programming period we have a common provisions regulation, certain other funds provide more opportunities for investment on the islands. Next, please. For example, in the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund, the Greek islands, the Croatian islands, they're benefiting from more, let's say, aid intensity. So for all the islands, the Fisheries Fund is providing 50%. In these cases, we had 85%. Next, please. The same in the Rural Development Fund, there was a differentiation there of approach. Next, please. And here you see also some specific examples, but in the outermost regions, in the smaller Aegean islands, we had this differentiated approach. Next. So, I think it was, again, Mr. President, yourself, that you have mentioned that there are also the possibility for the islands to explore new possibilities, to be the testing ground for new innovative solutions. And this is also our belief, and we have seen this demonstrated in the smart specialization strategies. As you know, in 2014, 2020, all regions were called upon to come up with a smart specialization strategy, to discover what are the needs of every region. And to our surprise also, it's not that in all insular regions it's tourism and it's, let's say, home, summer, holiday houses that represent the main, let's say, pieces of the local economy. We have discovered that there are quite a few regions that they want to focus on aqua farming, on sea technology, on renewable energy. Next, please. So, having said all that, one has to be aware of one limitation, that it's not the EU Commission dictating on the member states and the regions how much of this they could use. It's the regions and the member states that they have, because of subsidiarity, the responsibility to use these in a way that they can apply and they can take under consideration the specificities of the islands. Next, please. So, something that I know that it's very also important and has been a consideration for all stakeholders, and we have been following on that, and we're scaling up this project, is the territorial impact analysis. What we try to do in DG Regio is to see how the other parts of the house, the other DGs, when they come up with a new legislative measure, they might perhaps oversee territorial implications. And of course, not all cases are, let's say, relevant for a territorial impact assessment, but we have been applying this more and more intensively this year as well. And what we see is, of course, that when there are symmetrical effects, we try to change even the legislative text. So in the case of the directive for the port reception facilities for waste treatment, there are articles now that take under consideration the small coastal ports and the small island ports. Next, please. You have mentioned also state aid. In the state aid regulation now, we have possibilities for public services to be ensured with regular connection for islands. It can be an eligible for funding cost. Next, please. Can we move to next? Okay. Here. Again, under state aid, the amount of funding for investments on ports and airports is possible. When it comes to regional airports, what we see, what the regulations see is, of course, the amount of citizens. So for up to 3 million passengers, we're talking here for small and medium islands with, let's say, 3 million is quite a good amount of, let's say, of per year passengers, even for bigger islands, that we can apply, let's say, lots of, we can allow investments in port infrastructure, but also we can help the operating costs. And the other one applies also, this applies also for the seaports. Next. The European Fund for Strategic Investments. Already we see that it's possible when islands bundle projects together, that even EFSI can help islands, which is something that not many people on the island communities know. So for example, now in the Canary Islands, we have a project financed by EFSI, which is for bus interconnection terminal. We have in renewable energy projects in the French outermost regions. And we offer a lot of technical assistance, not only directly managed by us, but also within the operational programs. We have facilities like the FI Compass, the Investment Advisory Hub, technical assistance, as I said, from us. We can help you with experts under this initiative of TAIEX peer-to-peer for islands, how they can bundle together projects and how they can even approach the EFSI. Next, please. And of course, we are working with other DGs in island-related initiatives. Recently, DG Energy has embarked on the Clean Energy Islands initiative, and we are helping them to map the needs that the island communities have. We also map what funding is available for the thematic objective 4, which is for low carbon economy. Next, please. And coming now to the post, because I know that this is very important for all of you, what will happen post-2020? The reflection has started already. We welcome very much your ideas and your thoughts for the future. You have to be very, let's say, aware that, of course, the amount of time is not a lot, because we are probably going to launch the MFF legislative proposals by the end of this year. So the MFF proposal will be by the end of this year, and by June 2018 we will present probably the proposals, the legislative proposals for cohesion policy post-2020. An important document that I would like you to point to you to read is the 7th Cohesion Report. It was published in September, and it contains very important findings which will also be taken on board from us, since we analyze the situation around Europe based on that report very much. And we see emerging challenges, and we see issues that one has to address. Next, please. And of course, the white paper on the future of Europe and the reflection papers that the Commission has launched, especially the one on the EU future finances and the harnessing globalization, are important documents for you to understand more or less where the post-2020 cohesion policy ideas are going, for example, when we examine the globalization paper, one can see that many communities are left behind from globalization. So of course we will try to address this via the new cohesion policy. The Brexit, President, you also mentioned this in your speech. It will create a gap, a funding gap. And of course here, I believe that we have to be realists. No one expects that we will be having, let's say, special financial lines for this or the other issue. Brexit, we fear also that it will be pushing us, and the member states will be pushing the Commission towards consolidating further the instruments that we have, rather than creating new. The emerging challenges, again, they were mentioned this earlier today, like migration, like terrorism. There are things that we have to address with funding in the post-2020 period. We have to see also the interconnections between the cohesion policy and the European Fund for Strategic Investments. This is something that will stay. We will probably see more of these kind of investments, more investments coming from financial instruments and less grants for the next period in order to be able to find a solution for this funding gap that we have. And also there will be an enhanced link between the cohesion policy and the European semester. We have done recently a laggings behind study that helped us to see in countries like Greece, in Italy, in Romania, in Poland, that although a lot of funds are, let's say, devoted by the structural funds, the results sometimes, and it's not only the crisis, are not adequate. And of course, part of this is because of structural reforms that are needed and because of administrative capacity which is lacking. So in the future, cohesion policy will try also to address this. And of course, simplification together with enhanced result orientation will be our top priorities. Next. I tried to give you an overview and a flavor of different, opening different topics, so we'll remain until the end of the discussion to give you the opportunity if you have questions and clarifications that you would like.
Thanks. Thank you for this very interesting view of the future of from the Commission. It's very, very interesting for our research and giving us a very good idea where the future is in terms of research and the politics. Well, I would like to invite you now there is a coffee break. We are 10 minutes late, but it's in the downstairs in the ground floor. And so we can be here before 4:30, so we have 1 hour to establish the group, to discuss and to point some information, okay? So now, ground floor, and we will be here at 4:30, okay? Thank you. 20 minutes, yes.
No, because I understood 1 hour. Okay. So let's go down. It will be good, yeah.